I'm Kristi Pelzel, Senior International Correspondent for Today News Africa. My co-host, Henry Kohn, is a policy analyst and fellow at Today News Africa. And our guest is Elise Golan, the United States Department of Agriculture's United Nations Food Systems Summit lead and the Director of Sustainable Development at the USDA. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Great. You know, when I started down this journey into the term food systems, I knew it was food, growing it, buying it, eating it. But I have learned that it's so much more, and it really does connect to everything because everywhere you look, you can find some kind of touch point to food systems. So can you tell us what's a food system? And as you prepare to represent the United States at the United Nations Food Systems Summit, what's the state of food systems in the US?
Sure, thanks. So I agree with you. A lot of people, when we think about food systems, the first thing we say, well, what are we talking about? And I think the general notion of a food system is that food systems, the way we get our food, is not some simple linear chain from farm to fork, but it actually entails complex networks that include all the inputs and outputs associated with food production and consumption and disposal. And so at the Food Systems Summit, I think what's so great about the way the Food Systems Summit is approaching these issues is that it is taking a food systems approach. And by considering a whole food system, that's the only way we can comprehensively and systematically assess the challenges we're facing and hope to solve them.
But really, are there any major changes that need to occur? And then are there promising trends that you see?
One thing that's fundamental to the food systems approach and to sustainability in general is that every system could be improved, right? Every system could be improved. Every day, every farmer gets up and says, what can I do better? So when you look at the United States, general trends, you can point to some amazing advances in general trends. We know that through use of new innovative management and technologies, the U.S. farmers have increased output while simultaneously reducing input use. This is incredibly important. If we're going to have more sustainable food systems, we have to be able to do more with less. We have to be more efficient with our natural resources. We cannot expend our natural resources if we can do better. And over the last 90 years in the United States, commodity production has increased 400%, while acreage in production has dropped by 9%. So these productivity improvements are helping, have decreased farmland by over 20 million hectares. We're pulling in ag's footprint, while forest has increased over 1.4 million hectares. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is the official convener of the U.S. National Dialogues. We held our first in January, and the objective of our first dialogue, following the template that the UN provided, the objective of our first dialogue was to pull together diverse stakeholders and to work to identify challenges. What are the major challenges to building more sustainable food systems in the United States? So we brought together about 100 stakeholders from across the US food system, and the stakeholders identified 3 major challenges in the US. So these are what stakeholders said. This is what we're hearing percolating up from in our food system. Stakeholders identified that the first challenge, not number one in order, but one of the challenges, overarching challenges in the United States is just really information gaps about what healthy diets are and what sustainably produced is. There's confusion about how consumers can create healthy diets and how they could be empowered to go out and buy foods that are more sustainably produced. So just a real sense that there are information gaps out there about healthy diets and sustainably produced food. So the second overarching challenge the participants identified was inequality inequities in access and uptake of healthy diets, and also inequalities in access to opportunities in farming and in food system employment and other types of entrepreneurial opportunities. And then the third challenge identified, overarching challenge identified by the participants, was environmental degradation and climate change. Participants emphasized that variability in growing conditions due to climate change is posing a real challenge for farmers and for food system resilience. And many of the participants expressed concerns about challenges related to clear guidance to farmers about how to improve the sustainability of their farming operation.
It's important for other countries to see that not everything in the US goes perfectly. Yes, we're doing a lot of things right. We're a great country. We do so many things right. But we also have challenges. And I think other countries can relate to our challenges because they're having the same ones. But it's good to know that we are coming together and trying to look at ourselves and not just go to the food summit and tell everyone else what they should do.
No, I agree with you. And I think that if we're going to, advance and building truly more sustainable food systems, it also has to be an inclusive process. We have to make sure that we're involving stakeholders across the whole food system. That's eaters and growers and everyone in between, because otherwise we're not going to move together. And we have to make sure that we're addressing the three pillars of sustainability, right? We have to make sure that we have economic stability, sustainability, social sustainability, and environmental sustainability. If we're not moving forward together along all those three dimensions of sustainability, we're probably not going to get far.
Circle back to Africa because we are Today News Africa, and we'd like to bridge the US and Africa and all that we do. So does the USDA have any kind of support programs or projects with Africa?
Yes, absolutely. So USDA and US government in general, obviously, but USDA also has a number of programs and works with a number of African countries on strengthening the sustainability and resilience of food systems and growing capacity for farmers in Africa. And this work is ongoing. We will continue to reach out to partner with African countries over time. And I'll just give you maybe a few examples of current and ongoing work. And one thing that we do is, I don't need to tell you that it's very exciting. On January 1st this year, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement went into effect. So this is great news, creating, I guess it's the largest free trade area in the world if you count up participating countries. And the benefits could be enormous. But one thing that's could be holding it back a bit are the weak sanitary and phytosanitary systems that are implemented across Africa. Many African countries, really are struggling to meet their commitments on international science-based standards. Sanitary phytosanitary standards are lax. Africa has the world's highest per capita incidence of foodborne illness in the world, claims about 137,000 lives a year, and 91 million cases of sickness, and that's according to the World Health Organization. So it is a really serious problem. Not only a health problem, but of course it's slowing down. It is a barrier to trade, and it is a barrier to the success of the free trade agreement. So since 2017, USDA and USAID, Agency for International Development, have worked with the African Union Commission, AUC, to support African Union member states with trade capacity building and harmonization for strengthening these sanitary and phytosanitary, these food safety capacity and rules. And that could be, that is going to be a very important element of making sure that the trade, all of these free trade, fair trade agreements actually have the success that we're hoping for. And in the future, I do anticipate that we will continue to look for opportunities to partner in Africa with AU members and to strengthen agricultural capacity and cooperation between our country and those in Africa.
That's great. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. And if the summit is in person, maybe we'll catch up with you there.
That'd be great. See you in New York.
Yes. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thanks.